Hello students of grade 6, let us continue the lesson body movements. So 8.2 gaits of animals. So the first one which we are going to discuss is about the earthworm. So the activity 5, let us see what it says. Observe an earthworm moving on soil in a garden. Gently lift it and place it on a piece of blotting or filter paper. So what we are asked to do here is we need to observe an earthworm, its movement on the soil in a garden. So what we are going to do there, we are going to gently lift and place it on a piece of filter paper or blotting paper. Then after that what we are going to do is observe its movement, then place it on a smooth glass plate or any slippery surface. So after this what we are going to do is we are going to put this earthworm on a place where it is a smooth glass plate or any slippery surface. After that we are going to observe its movement now. Is it different from that of a paper? So here what we are going to do, we are going to take two earthworms. So one we are going to place it on a filter paper, and the other one we are going to put it on a glass plate, okay, or a slippery surface. Then we are going to observe the movement of the earthworm, whether it is the same on the paper and also on the glass or any slippery surface. In which of the above two surfaces do you find that the earthworm is able to move easily? So we need to observe how and where, in which on which surface the earthworm is moving freely or moving easily, on which of the surface. The body of an earthworm is made up of many ring joints end to end. So here you can see these are the rings. These are nothing but the rings which you can see. So there are n number of rings present on the earthworm, which starts from one end to the another. So its body is made up of many rings. An earthworm does not have bones. So this is the main point which you need to remember, is earthworm does not have any bones. It only has muscles which helps to extend and shorten the body. So here you can say that earthworm doesn't have bones, but it has muscles. So these muscles are helping in the movement of this earthworm. So here what it is doing, it is extending and it is moving, and it is shortening its body, and it is lengthening its body from behind. So this is the movement which is happening just because of the muscles. So during movement, the earthworm first extends the front part of the body, keeping the rear portion fixed to the ground. Then it fixes the front end and releases the rear end. It then shortens the body and pulls the rear end forward. This makes it move forward by a small distance. Repeating such muscle expansion and contraction, the earthworm can move through the soil. Its body secretes a slimy substance to help the movement. So here what is said is, this is an earthworm. So what it does, it will be moving in the front direction. So how will it move? First it will extend its front part. So it will extend this front part, and then what it does is it keeps the rear portion. This is the rear portion, the back portion. This is the back portion, this is the front portion. So what it will do is, during the movement, the earthworm will first extend the front portion of the body, keeping this rear portion. It will be fixing it to the ground. This will be fixed up and this will be moved. And then what happens after that, then it will fix this portion to the ground, and this will release. It will release the rear end. Now this, once it is moved in front, this will be fixed and this will be released. The front portion will be fixed, the rear portion will be released. Then what happens, it will also shorten the body. It will then shorten the body. As you can see, it will shorten the body and pulls the rear end towards itself. So what it will do, it will pull itself. Now here it will shorten its body and it will try to pull this rear end towards itself, so that it can move in the front direction. So this keeps on repeating, and this will cover only small distance. This kind of motion will cover only the small distance, and this keeps on repeating, so that the motion will be in frontwards or even the backward, the same will be the position. So this expansion and contraction of the muscles of the earthworm is done by the earthworm like this on the soil. So repeating this muscle expansion and contraction, the earthworm can move freely, or it can move nicely on the soil, and it also secretes a slimy substance which helps in the movement. Now let us see more about the earthworm. So how does it fix its part of its body to the ground? Under its body, it has a large number of tiny bristle-like hair structure projecting out. The bristles are connected with muscles. This bristles helps to get a good grip on the ground. So how is the possibility of the earthworm to fix its body on the ground? So what happens here? This is an earthworm. Imagine this is an earthworm. So it will have rings on it, and it will also have bristles like tiny hair over its body. So this tiny hair, this is known as the setae. These bristles are tiny hair. These bristles are nothing but the bristles are tiny hair, and these tiny hair are called as the setae. These are nothing but the setae. Okay, so this is what is helping the earthworm to fix itself to the ground, and this is what is giving the grip, a good grip we can say, to hold itself on the ground. The next is the earthworm actually eats its way through the soil. Its body then throws away the undigested part of the material that it eats. This activity of an earthworm makes the soil more useful for the plant. So the earthworm actually what it does in the soil, it eats away whatever comes in the soil wherever it lives in the soil. And its body what it does, it will throw away the undigested material whichever is there, how we humans does, how we secrete. The same way they also excrete in the same way the undigested part. And this undigested part, whatever it comes, this activity of the earthworm is helpful or useful for the plants, and it is more useful for the soil. So the next one is the snail. So let us see the activity 6, that is the snail. So observe a snail in your garden or in a field. Have you seen the rounded structure it carries on its back? So here we are asked to observe a snail which has a rounded structure. This is the rounded structure which it carries on its back. So this is called the shell, and it is the outer skeleton of the snail. So this is called as the shell, and this is the outer skeleton of the snail. But it is not made up of bones. So it is, though we are calling it as a skeleton, it is not made up of any bones. It is just a hollow shell. The shell is a single unit and does not help in movement from place to place. It has to be dragged along. So what is the use of this shell? It is not at all helping in any movement, but it is placed above this snail. And what it is doing, what it has to be done, whenever this snail is moving, it will take this also along with it and move. The moment whenever it is doing moving, it will also drag this shell along with it and move. So place the snail on a glass plate and watch it. When it starts moving, carefully lift the glass plate along with the snail over your head. Now what it is asked to do here is place a snail on a glass plate. So here we are asked to place a snail in a glass plate and watch it carefully. Then what we have to do, once the snail starts moving, what you have to do is carefully you have to lift it and place this plate on your head, over your head. Then observe its movement from beneath. So what you will do, if you hold it above your head, you will be looking up. You will be looking up through your eyes, so you can see the why we are putting it on our head is so we can see this below movement, how it is. So because it is a transparent glass plate, we can observe the movement. When it is moving, we can observe how it is moving. This movement we can observe. A thick structure and the head of the snail may come out of an opening in the shell. The thick structure is its foot, made of strong muscle. Now carefully tilt the glass plate, the wavy motion of the foot can be seen. In this movement of a snail, a snail slow or fast as compared to a earthworm. So here what we can do, what is the earthworm, what is the snail doing, how we can see is if we place it above our head and we can observe it through that glass plate. So what we will observe is how is the movement taking place in the snail. So we can even compare the earthworm and the snail, how they are moving, is the movement same or not. So one more thing is the shell, what is the use of the shell. So whenever there is a danger to the snail, the time what it does, it will round it around, it will go inside and hide itself inside that shell. So that shell is useful. It is not that it is not useful, it is useful for the snail to escape from any danger. So how it is moving? It is moving because of the thick structure of its foot. The foot is helping. That foot is made up of very strong muscles. So the complete shell and the snail, it is the body of the snail is moved because of with the help of this strong foot, which is having the strong muscle. Now what we will do, we will tilt the glass plate and we can see that wavy motion, how it is moving. That foot, one foot will be there behind the snail. They don't have 2 feet, it is only a foot. So that foot can be seen how it is moving in a wavy motion. It will be moving in frontward direction. So you can even compare both of their speed, the earthworms and the snail's speed, and you can compare whether this is fast or that is slow, or this is slow or that is fast. So let us look into the next activity, that is about the cockroach, and the activity is activity 7. So observe a cockroach. Cockroaches walk and climb as well as fly in the air. So we all know that cockroaches can climb, they can walk, and they can even fly in the air. They have 3 pairs of legs. These help in walking. So as you can observe, how many? 1, 2, 3. So these are 3 pairs. You can say 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the 6 legs, or you can say 3 pairs of legs. And the body is covered with a hard outer skeleton. So this is nothing but the harder outer skeleton. This outer skeleton is made up of number of plates joined together, and that permits movement. So as you can observe carefully, 1 second. Okay, if you observe this cockroach carefully, you can see there will be a number of plates on this outer shell. So they are nothing but this kind of plates on that outer shell, outer skeleton of this cockroach. So these are made up of number of plates, and that will permit the movement. Okay. There are 2 pairs of wings attached to the body behind the head. So behind the head, as you can see, this is the head portion. This is the head, and you can see there are 2 pairs of wings. There are 2 pairs. One is above and one is the under it. Under it also there is one more pair of the wings. So there are completely how many pairs of wings? 2 pairs of wings. So there are 2 pairs of wings attached to the body behind the head. The cockroach has distinct muscles. Those near the legs move the legs for walking. The body muscles move the wings when the cockroaches fly. So the cockroaches have the distinct muscles. They have distinct muscles. So what they does, when the legs are moving, the front legs, they also move, and the body muscles move in the wings are even moving. So the cockroaches fly because of this wings. So let us look into the next one, that is the bird. Birds fly in the air and walk on the ground. As we all know that birds fly in the air and they walk on the ground. Some birds like duck and swans only swim in the water. As we all know that there are birds which can only swim in the water, but they cannot fly. So the birds are So the birds can fly because their bodies are well suited for flying. Their bones are hollow and light. The bones of the hind limbs are typical for walking and perching. So what we are saying here is the bird can fly because they have the body that is well suited for flying, whereas we humans cannot fly because our body is not fit for flying. It is not in that structure of the same as the birds. Their bones are hollow. They have the hollow bones. So the birds, remember this point, that bones of the birds are hollow and they are very light in weight, and the bones of the hind limbs, they are typically made for only walking. The bony parts of the forelimbs are modified as wings. So as you can see, this one, these are the forelimbs. These are the hind limbs and these are the forelimbs. So these forelimbs are modified as wings. As you can see, these are modified as wings. As we have hands, they have wings. The shoulder bones are strong. As you can see here, these are the shoulder bones. So these shoulder bones are very strong, as because of that only they have the strong bones. That is why they are having a very good flight. They can take a very good flight when they fly. The breastbone are modified to hold muscles of flight which are used to move the wings up and down. So you can see, observe this. They have the breastbone which are modified to hold the muscles of flight. As you can see, this is the breastbone. It is very what you can say, it is modified and it is very good, which can uphold the wings, and it is the one who is allowing the movement of the wings going up and down. So the next one is the fish, the activity 8. So make a paper boat, put it in a water and push it with one narrow end pointing forward. So as you all of you know how to make this boat. So this is what is asked to do. So put it in a water and push with one narrow end pointing forward. As you can do it, as you can see in this figure, you have to push it in a one narrow end point, that it could take it in the forward direction. Did it go into the water easily? Now hold the boat sideways and push it into the water. If you are pushing it like this, is it going very smoothly and nicely? And it is going in a forward direction. And if you are pushing it on the sideways, will it go properly, smoothly? Is the question asked here. Are you able to make the boat move in water when you push it from the side? So once you have to push it towards the side, and once you have to leave it at the narrow end so that it can move forward, and you can observe the difference and you can tell the conclusion to yourself. So the next one, what we can say is, have you noticed that the shape of a boat is somewhat like a fish? So the shape of the boat is somewhat looking like a fish only. The head and the tail of the fish are smaller than in the middle portion of the body. As you can see, the head is small and the tail portion is small, whereas the middle portion is little bit longer. So the body taper at both ends. This body shape is called as the streamlined shape. So this portion, as like it is being the head and the tail are small and the middle portion of the body is taper, and this portion, this shape is called as the streamlined shape. Okay. The shape is such that the water can flow around it easily and allow the fish to move in water. Because of this shape only, the water can flow around it easily. As you can see, there is water everywhere around the fish, and this is because of the streamlined shape only, the water is moving freely towards the nearby the fish. The skeleton of the fish is covered with strong muscles. As you cannot see the skeleton because it is inside. So how it is covered, because it is covered with the strong muscles. During swimming, muscles make the front part of the body curve to one side and the tail part swings towards the opposite side. So how is the swimming? As we all know, the fishes swim. So how it is swimming? The muscles will make the front part of the body curve. As you can see this curve, it is making the front part of the body to one side is the curve and the other side will be the tail. So there will be a curve position. So it will move towards the opposite side. As you can see, it is moving towards the opposite side. Once here, as you can see, 1 2 opposite side, once this side, once this side, once this side, once this side. So this happens, and this movement will be moving on as if like a wave. Yeah, so during swimming, muscles make the front part of the body curve to one side and the tail part swings towards the opposite side. The fish forms a curve as shown in the figure 8.23. As you can see here, as I have explained, these are making curves, isn't it? So once here, once here, once here, once here. These are making curves. The fish forms a curve as shown in figure 8.23. Then quickly the body and the tail curve to the other side. This makes a jerk and pushes the body forward. So what happens when it is taking making a curve? It will give a jerk. Jerk means a little bit push. A push will be given to it so that it can move in. This is a jerk. So this jerk will be done when it is moving in a curvy position. So when it is taking another curve, it will have a jerk. So with the help of this jerk only, the fish will move forward. A series of such jerks makes the fish swim ahead, as I have told you just now. This is helped by the fins of the tail. So these curves are formed just because of with the help of the fins and the tail. Fish also have other fins on their body, which mainly help to keep the balance of the body and to keep the direction. So what does this fin does? It also have the fins will be maintaining it will help to maintain the body balance, and it also helps in the direction. So firstly, there are not only helping in the movement but also in the balancing of their body. So this is the main thing which the fins does. Now let me make it clear that which part of the fish will help in the direction is the tail. The tail will help the fish to maintain the direction. It will allow the fish to move in the particular direction, and it will help in the movement of the fishes. So that is nothing but the tail. The tail is the one which helps in changing the direction of the movements. So tail is the one which helps in the direction of the movement while swimming. Did you ever notice that underwater divers wear fin-like flippers at their feet to help them move easily in the water? So as we usually see, there will be having a fin like this behind, even like a mermaid and all. Even the underwater divers, they also have the fin kind of flippers behind their on their feet. They wear this kind of thing so that the movement will be very easy, because as I told you, the tail is the one which is giving the direction. So that is the reason why the underwater divers also make the wear the fin like flippers on their feet. So let us next look into the other topic, that is the snake. So how do snakes move? Have you seen a snake slither? Does it move straight? So you might have observed the snake. It will slither, isn't it? And it will not move in a straight direction. Yes, it is, the movement of the snake is not straight. Snakes have a long bone. They have many tiny muscles. So what does a snake have? A snake is having only one long bone. As you can say, snake is having a long bone, and they have thin muscles. They are connected to each other even though they are far from each other. So though they are far from each other, they are connected to each other. Muscles also interconnect the backbone, ribs and skin. So these muscles are again interconnected to the backbone, ribs and skin. The snake's body curves into many loops. As you all know that the snake will take curves. So this will give many loops. So each loop of the snake gives it a forward push by pressing against the ground. The same as we have discussed about the snail. That the earthworm, the same here is also told about the snake. So what is the snake doing? The snake is also moving its body by pressing against the ground as the earthworm does. So since its long body makes many loops and each loop gives it a push. So here what is giving a push is the loop. The one loop will give them this kind of loops will give them a push. So the snake will move like this. So these loops will give them a push. So this will be giving a push and they will be moving their body in the front way. forward direction. The snakes move forward very fast and not in a straight line. We have learnt about the use of bones and muscles for the movements of different animals. So here we have learned about the uses of bones and muscles for the movement of the many of the animals. So here what is said is Paheli and Boju have many questions in their sacks about the different movements in the animals. So must you be having many unanswered questions buzzing in your minds? The ancient Greek philosopher Aristotle, in his book Gate of Animals, asked himself these questions. So there is an ancient philosopher, that is a Greek philosopher, his name was Aristotle. In his book which is named as Gate of Animals, he has many questions. So the questions are probed in this way: why do different animals have the different parts that they do have, and how do these body parts help animals to move the way they do? So what is this question? So he is having a question like, why do different animals have different body structures, and how is helping them in the movement? What are the similarities and differences in their body? So he was having a question, what are the similarities, what are the differences in the body of between the different animals? How many body parts are needed for different animals for moving from place to place? Why 2 legs are for human and 4 legs are for cows and buffaloes? So these were the questions which were coming in the mind of this ancient philosopher. Many animals seems to be having an even number of legs. Why? So this is also one more question. Why is the bending of our legs different from that of our arms? So many questions, and perhaps we have looked for some answers through our activities in this chapter, and we need to look for many more answers. So a few of the queries were answered, but there are many such questions which comes to our mind which has to be answered in furthermore queries. It will be answered and it will be known to us. So with this we end up this lesson. I hope you understood. If there are any doubts, please comment below. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe and share and like.